we are going to start the episode now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 24 of the Die Is Cast. How are y'all doing today? I'm doing pretty fine this weekend. Had a pretty good weekend. Went to a Halloween party last night. That was pretty badass. Went to one of my sisters. I got a lot of sisters and sisters-in-laws and whatnots and have-yous and all that. And so, yeah, went to a sister's house last night. Had a Halloween party. And had a fucking blast, man. We was dancing, and they played this game where you pick a bag up with your teeth or your mouth. I kept getting yelled at because I kept squatting over it and picking it up with my ass, my anus. And they were like, not the ass cheeks, okay? Not your butt lips, your mouth lips. And I was like, oh, sorry. And, yeah, so I actually didn't play that game. We showed up right as that game was being played. And my wife is the reigning champ, I think 2 years, maybe? No, 2 years running, because 3 years ago we didn't go. But, yeah, so, I think they did that on purpose, maybe, to keep her out of it, because she was kind of a shoo-in. You know, she's like the Max Verstappen of picking up bags with their lips without using their hands. And, yeah, it's, and then the bag, they shorten the bag as the round progresses. And my wife gets it down to where it's literally... I mean, I'm pretty sure she could, if it was a flat piece of paper, she might have been last year. And she basically played like suck and blow with the ground, if you remember that game. I don't think kids these days play suck and blow. They just play suck and fuck. And so she's the reigning champ, so obviously the fix was in, and they rigged everything so that she couldn't win it, and made it so that they played it as we were driving there. We were 2 hours late, but, you know, when you're the champ, they're not going to have the fight between Tyson and Tyson and Paul just because Tyson's 2 hours late. No, they wait. All right. She's the reigning champ. We walked in with the belt. So, yeah, a little disappointed there. But otherwise, it was a very fun party. Didn't get too fucked up. I knew I had this the next day, so I didn't want to get too wasted, which is unusual for me. My own kids don't stop me from getting fucked up when I go to parties and we have the night off. But last night we had the night off, no kids, us partying, and I did not want to get too wasted because I knew I had to wake up this morning and seize the opportunity to come here, and I wanted to be somewhat, clear-headed, besides my usual bombasticry. And, so that's interesting. I wonder what that would tell a psychologist. I wonder what a therapist might say to that. I wonder what a psychotherapist would say. That means you have a very, very crazy therapist. Not that you have a therapist that's an actual psychotherapist. So, did that. Didn't get too fucked up, so not too much to report on there because I had this the next day. So now we are here. So how are you fine folks doing? I know I said that already, but I'm saying it again because god damn it, I don't give a fuck. And, so, how's everybody doing? 3 times now. Hopefully you guys are like Candyman. Yeah, we had a pretty interesting couple weeks. A couple weeks ago, I haven't really done any episodes. I'm fucking excited to get on here. It's been 2 weeks since I've recorded anything. I've been trying to edit and release all the ones that I had backed up because we got swamped. We had Hurricane Milton came through, and I know I was talking shit during Hurricane Helene, but then the very next week, Hurricane fucking Milton came through and knocked us out. For some reason, Lake County, which is in the middle of the state, got hit harder than our 2 neighboring counties. Weird. We had a shit ton of outages, and we were without power for 5 days. So, had no power for 5 days, ended up having to go stay somewhere else because everything in our fridge had gone bad. We threw everything out of there about day 2 or 3, and it was all gone. The fridge was basically room fucking temperature. And, so had to throw everything out, had to start over there. And then went and stayed at a house next to our parents' house where they were up north, and so they allowed us to stay there. So thank you to them. I don't even know their names. Thank you, whoever you are, Mr. Nice Man, Mr. Nice Spanish Man. Oh yes, no problem. That's how he sounded. I'm not trying to be racist. That's how he literally sounded on the phone. Oh yes, no problem to my wife. She spoke to him. I didn't. And very nice man. So thank you. And so we stayed there for a day, and then we got our power back on the next day. We went there Saturday, and then Sunday they turned our power back on. And so we came home and then started cleaning up because the yard was wrecked. We didn't have any down trees or anything like that, no down power lines. There was one down the street. They knocked a tree over, and it took the whole power line down and kind of cracked into a house. And then just down the block from us, a house got smushed all the way to the ground, like, like cartoon. And I guess the people that lived there had no insurance I don't know. Their story didn't really add up because they were talking about how they bought the place 10 years ago because it was an investment. It was a smart opportunity. And but then they were saying that they didn't have renter's insurance, which wouldn't have helped them anyways because that would have only covered the stuff on the inside of the house as it was. And I was like, well, I thought you said you bought it, so you would have had homeowner's insurance, right? Something ain't adding up here. They did look a little trashy, if I'm being honest. So, they're probably not the most honest people in the world, especially when it's on public news and the whole world's going to see it. So they'll just kind of fabricate and fib a little bit to try and build themselves up a little bit. Well, we bought this trailer 10 years ago because Jesse was saying it was such a smart investment, so we had to seize the opportunity because we're so financially savvy, living in this trailer. And I can't think of a fucking name. So Ebert here, it's old. I keep wanting to say Hector for some reason, but that makes no fucking sense, so I can't say that. Old fucking Chester over here, he said, well, we got to nab that trailer up, this old single wide. And so we did, but then they kind of fibbed on themselves, and they're like, well, we didn't even really have, I wonder if they were renting to own. When you rent to own, would you only have renter's insurance, I guess, maybe? I don't know. Kind of interesting. But anyways, point is, their house got smashed, they got fucked, they were on the news begging for help. So that's usually how that is. Obviously, if you're financially well off, you don't need to be begging for help when one of your houses gets destroyed, or when your house gets destroyed and you have everything covered and you got friends and family and things and loved ones you can go stay at, and you got money to be able to withstand the fall. That's why they always recommend having a rainy day fund. Should be called a fucking hurricane blew over your fucking house fund in Florida. Did a hurricane come through and completely wipe you out fund? Need to have one of those prepared if you're going to live in Florida. Kind of insane that from like 04 to 14 we had almost zero hurricanes, and it looked like we were going to get pounded a lot after Charlie and Francis, and then it was like nothing for 10 years, and then now we've been kind of getting walloped again. God damn it, we're getting walloped out there. And so yeah, Hurricane Milton came through, kind of knocked everything loose. I never missed a single day of work though, because I was able to move around the state of Florida with all my dealerships and just work where the hurricane. I did miss the day of the hurricane. What am I talking about? The day and the day after. God. I was mixing up the two hurricanes, Hurricane Helene and Milton. Helene, I did not miss a single day. Milton, I did miss. I missed the Thursday, Friday. Because we tried to work Wednesday. We did a little fucking quarter of a day. Because we went to one stop, got them done, and then we went to go to the rest of the stops, and they were boarding up, getting ready, and it was like, what the fuck are we doing? Let's go home. And we blew each other, and then drove home, and it was weird. But anyways, first time it's ever happened. And so, yeah, we did that and then came home, took the next 2 days off, and kind of just hunkered down for the storm. And it was a lot more, like I said, there was way more damage than I was expecting there to be. I figured we'd be usually in middle of the state, like I said the other week. In the middle of the state, we don't get hit too hard. It's the coast that gets fucking flattened. And but this year, for some reason, middle of the state kind of got hit a little pretty good. And but, yeah, we're all fine now, so it's all good. The people that really got flattened are the ones that got fucking flattened. They're right on the coast. They got man, if you got nothing, if you're poor, don't fucking move to the beach, man. If you've got a house that you're barely paying for and it's uninsured, like, fuck, get out of there. God damn, it's like buying a mobile home in Tornado Alley. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You're throwing money down the toilet. You're just begging for something to happen. Well, I bought this little trailer here. It's not on stilts, right on the Mississippi flood banks. I'm like, well, fucking idiot. God damn. God damn, it's everything I took, everything I had, my whole life savings to buy this thing, and it's uninsured. Flood season's coming up here in about 2 weeks. So if you're poor and you don't have a lot of shit, don't move somewhere where it's prone to get wiped the fuck out. Although it seems like all the fun places, maybe that's part of it. Maybe if you want to live somewhere fun, it's got to come with the risk of, hey, we might all get fucking obliterated. Because where's the funnest? LA, you might fall off the fucking map. Miami, you're going to get wiped out by a hurricane or possibly be gone in 20 years or whatever the fuck they keep saying. Where else is real fun? New York City. What do they have? I guess you just fucking freeze, right? You just freeze. Which, that sucks. Yeah, so maybe the fun places all have that little bit of risk. Nobody wants to move out to fucking Wyoming. That's why nobody's out there. Because there's nothing. Although you can freeze the fuck out of yourself up there too, I believe. I believe it gets quite cold. I mean, it's basically fucking Canada. So yeah, it gets fucking cold. Yellowstone, goddammit. Oh, that's Montana, right? Wyoming, Montana? I don't fucking know. I get those mixed up all the time. I'm a grown-ass man, and every once in a while I'm like, which one is it? Montana's the one that I want to say looks like Colorado, like a rectangle, but it's not. Montana's the one that's like got the odd shape, and Wyoming's the square. Interesting. But not interesting. Boring. Stupid as fuck. Not worth your time. Not worth your time. So, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Living somewhere crazy must come with risk. Because if you're poor, what the fuck, man? And that's half the sob stories you see is like, I won't say all of them because somebody's going to write me and be like, no! But, I mean, if you're prepared, you're prepared. So, it's obviously the unprepared that get wiped out. Right? So, be prepared. Be prepared. Jesus, my voice. Be prepared. Be prepared. What the fuck? What are you people doing? I'm Jerry Seinfeld. Move away from the coast. Stop moving to Florida. I don't think he's quite this exasperative ever in his life. But for some reason, that's a common impression of him is, what are these people? What is that? But anyway, so yeah, don't move to the coast if you're poor. Don't move to Tornado Alley if you're poor. Don't move to... Don't be poor, really. That's the message. Don't be poor. There we go. Because then you're fine. You know, if you're not poor, nothing really affects you. That's funny when they always say that. Like, you know that this affects the poor the most. It's like, well, of course it does. They're the poor. And not the same people, by the way. That does shift. But obviously, the people that can't afford anything, can't buy anything, or prepare for things, or take care of things ahead of time. You know what I mean? Like, obviously... Hurricanes, they affect the poverty, the impoverished the most. Oh, you mean when your city gets leveled, the people that had nothing to start with are fucked? You don't say. You don't say. Oh, when something comes through that they can't afford to safeguard themselves against, they get wiped out? You don't say. You don't say. You know disease affects the poor the most? Really? You mean the people that can afford to to take care of themselves don't get sick as much? What? What kind of voodoo is this? But that's how it is. So, yeah, that's my hurricane update. I don't really have much to add after that. My hearts, thoughts, prayers, all that hoopla and hootenanny and apocrypha, all that goes out to all the people that got fucked up. That really sucks. It does suck. Just because you were unprepared doesn't mean you should get your shit wiped out. And I'm sure there's some people that were prepared and still got wiped out or whatever. I don't know. If you're prepared, by definition, you know, it still sucks. I mean, if you fucking lose everything, even if you're prepared, like, all right, well, we got to go buy another house, and you can do all that, it still blows. So I shouldn't downplay it so much. But I don't know. I'm trying to be funny a little bit. So fuck off if you take me too seriously, okay? I hope my audio is okay this episode. I feel like I'm off mic. I don't know. My microphones, I think, are getting too old. Now I sound a little bit better. But lately, it's like I feel more and more I can't hear myself in my own microphones. Might need to switch them up and get some new ones. These ones might be wearing out. So, yeah, that's all for my Hurricane Milton update. Not much there. Everything's good to go now. I didn't really get too fucked up. Lost power for a few days. Had to buy an entire fridge worth of food and stuff. But kids were okay. The scariest moment was when we went and stayed at my dad's house, actually, for the night of the storm. And lost power there too, and when the power went out, oh fuck, did my son freak out. He's 3 years old. He's just now talking like, I mean, full conversations now. And he was freaking the fuck out though, because we were walking around kind of having fun, and then all of a sudden just boom, everything cut off. And he was just like, what? I mean, I couldn't even see him. I was like, buddy, hey, come to my voice. And he just was like, Daddy, where are you? Like we were in the trade towers and they just got hit. So, smoke and fire. Like, where are you? And I'm laughing. So he probably thinks I'm like the world's gone evil on him. We just turned off the lights and he's got freaked out and we're like, you fucking idiot. Come to my voice, God. But he was fine. Once I got to him, I was like, come here, buddy, come here. And we lit a candle, and it was like the fucking 1800s again. It was kind of dope. There is a part of me that sort of not likes it, but does like it. Because it's just like a... And if you've got backup lights, if you don't have backup lights, it fucking sucks at night. But if you've got backup lights, not like a generator. If you got that, I mean, who gives a fuck? But if you've got like candles and lights and little LED lights like we had, I don't know, it kind of gave it a cool vibe. We were all, and then you've got no electronics to distract you. It's just like camping, you know what I mean? But you're inside of a nice, comfortable house somewhat. There's no AC. But it's fucking raining and hurricaning outside. It's not going to be hot. And it's a little creaky because the house is like... And it's like creaking like a motherfucker, and you're like, Jesus Christ, I hope this fucking roof doesn't rip off, because it sure shit sounds like it's gonna. But I guess after Hurricane Andrew, like, the regulation came down that they have to strap all the roofs to the fucking foundation so that don't happen again. And it happens way, way, way less now. Because after Andrew, if you look at like the footage, I mean, it's just like every house has no roof. Like, they were not prepared for that. So, yeah, but there is something a little freeing to it, though, you know? And we knew we weren't going to have work the next day, because you can't. Everything's closed. So you're just hanging out, hanging in. Obviously, I'm not the first one to discover the wonders of a hurricane party. But just the power going out was fun. And obviously, there was times where you're like, I want to do this or I want to do that. But you still have water, so it was kind of okay. Could have been worse. Could have been worse, you know? I should be grateful that it wasn't as bad as it could have been, right? I don't know. I'm imperfect, so fuck that gratefulness. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, I saw SpaceX launched and landed the Starship Super Heavy fucking booster, and which fucking is awesome. And I know that shot is going to be fucking everywhere, because the shot from Apollo 13, think about this. I was thinking about this the other day. That shot from Apollo 13 where it's like the camera looking out from, obviously, like the whole, I don't know what you'd call that. I should know. But where the rocket is, and then there's that whole area, how the astronauts get up to it, right? And there's the shot looking down on it, like this is the rocket, and there's the camera looking down on that, and the rocket's going... And they've used that shot in every movie with a rocket launch, for the most part. They either use the Apollo footage, or they'll, use new footage, but it's that same shot, essentially. And I think that same thing is going to happen with that SpaceX, where the rocket's coming down, and you see it from the tower or whatever. That is going to be iconic. I guarantee you, you're going to see shots like that in movies. You're going to see rockets landing, and it's going to look eerily reminiscent to that, to the footage that we have of the SpaceX Super Heavy booster being caught by the Mechzilla. That's part of the reason I fucking love Elon, is that, like, a lot of times when you get these billionaires and these guys that are, just go, 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 they got no time for sense of humor. They got no time for, like, playfulness or anything like that. And so it would have had, like, Lander Tower something 1 or something. A typical NASA fucking name. But they just call it Mechzilla. Like, I love it. Even if the name's corny, it's just like, I love that they do shit like that. And the names of their boats and stuff are like the ships from, people are fucking screaming at me right now. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's awesome. Oh, and I saw that boat. I didn't say that last time, but when I was out there at the rocket launch, when we went out fishing with my buddy Manny, and the one thing we did see while we were there was the SpaceX boat that's got the little square lander pad on it for the rocket. It came right by us, and it's pretty fucking big. Kind of looks like a shrimping boat a little bit, but then it's just got like multiple decks, and I don't know, whatever. It's a fucking boat, but it looked pretty cool, and it's just cool knowing that it is that lander pad, and it's called like Do You Love Me or something like that. It had some funny name, and I can't remember the names from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy because the ships all had funny names. Anyways, point is, we saw that out there, and then, but yeah, I guarantee you that rocket footage of the rocket coming back down and getting caught by the arms of that thing, and you see it settle, and it lands the whole rocket, all of that weight, the 34 Raptor engines, the fucking tank that's now empty for the most part, the whatever remaining fuel there is left, the whole fucking thing, the exterior shell, all that fucking weight is all resting on those two little pads. Those two little, which you'd think they'd make like a whole rim. Oh, maybe you couldn't because of aerodynamics. Whatever. The whole thing comes down and it lands on these two. Whatever it is, it fucking works. So what do I know? What am I trying to do? Improve their fucking design? I was just thinking the thing has to be directionally oriented too. It can't land in any rotation because of where these two little pads are that stick out from the side that it lands on. And, man, I need to turn that up a little bit. There we go. God, I hope the whole first half of this episode didn't fucking blow because of that. But anyways, so it's got these two little arms that stick out that it lands on. And it seems like you'd want that to go all the way around so that it could land in any orientation as long as it's upright. But anyways, it worked for them. They fucking nailed that bitch. It looks like it's fucking plumb as fuck or whatever you want to say. True. Fucking due, west and east, left and right, straight, horizontal, I don't know. Along the axis, perpendicular to the, I don't know. Anyways, they fucking nailed it. Perfect. And when it's coming in, the first shot that I saw as it was live, they have that really far away shot that's like 5 miles away. And it looks like that motherfucker was like it was going to do that. But it, I guess, was behind it. And then so it catches it from the perspective. It looked like I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, all right, cool. I didn't do that at all. I was like, yes, crash. I want to see the carnage. Ah, well, I guess that's good too. All right. That's good too. It's good. No, that's good. That's what I wanted. I definitely did not want to watch it turn into a fiery fireball. I would have been actually slightly disappointed for some reason for SpaceX's sake, which is gay. But I would have been like, oh, that sucks. All those fucking people there, that's a setback. Bummer. But they've already got fucking the 6th one, or that was the 6th, and they got the 7th one lined up, or that was the 5th, and this is the 6th. I think that was the 5th. This is the 6th. Coming up. And they've already got that ready to roll, which means they got multiple. God damn the money involved to have all these rockets and multiple rockets to go if that one blows up and this one fucks up. Because every single one of these launches, they have to be fully prepared that it's just going to fucking disintegrate. And that's what it is. Every rocket launch is just, well, there goes that. Whatever happens, happens. If we get it back, cool. If we don't, we were planning on that. And, yeah, it's just incredible that they fucking nailed it so perfectly the first time that they tried to catch it. But maybe that's what the first 4 launches was to get that data so that they knew they would be able to do that because it was good. I'm happy about it. I'm excited. And just that shot of it coming from really far away. It's the wide shot where you just like see this tiny little sailing through, leaving that fucking trail of cleared air. And it's just fucking falling. And I was just thinking like, you're going to see one day where there's like, maybe not multiple. I guess eventually maybe there will be, but just multiple times a day, you'll just have those big rockets fucking falling out of the sky over in Texas probably. Or fucking everywhere, here and there maybe. Why not? And I guess that this one, the Super Heavy was takes off in, or the Starship takes off in Texas. Outside Starbase, Texas, which sounds cool. I want to go fucking, I don't want to say that on here because then somebody will steal that idea. Or maybe this gives me copyright of it, saying it out loud in public. I don't think it does. So I'm not going to say it. Eventually I will do it. I want to start something over there that would be cool given the motif of that town and what, like, that's like, it's kind of cool that town has like, and this happens over at Cape Canaveral too in Space Coast. Over there is that's town's mine essentially, you know, like back in the day, like, or the mill or the mine or the whatever, you know, like if you live in fucking this place Kentucky, you work in the mines or whatever, you know. And if you worked there, you worked on the farm. If you worked there, you worked in the mill. If you was in Pittsburgh or outside Pittsburgh, you worked at the steel mills. Everybody did. But for the Space Coast and for Starbase now, it's like everything over there is rocket space travel. It's like, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. But, yeah, so that's pretty badass. I was excited about that. I get more excited than everybody else. My kids were fucking blown away. This was the first rocket thing that I've showed them where they were like, whoa, hell yeah. Because I woke up in the morning and it was like getting ready to take off in like 3 minutes. And I was like, oh, here we go. And I ran upstairs to the kids and they all had just all woken up too. It was kind of perfect, like 5 minutes prior. And they were all in bed with my wife. They all climbed in with her. And so I ran and I was like, guys, watch this. And we watched it all within like 10, right as I sat down. It was perfect. Sat down 10, 9, you know the rest of the numbers. And it made all those noises that rockets make. And and then it came back and landed and fucking went off without a hitch. Oh, it was so cool. I was legit like sitting there with my kids like, isn't that awesome? Wasn't that so cool? And they're like, it caught it? It caught it, Daddy? I was like, yeah. Didn't you just fucking watch that? Jesus Christ. What are you, blind, kid? I gotta be a fucking closed captioning for you? Pay attention. You're gonna be on one of these rockets if you don't listen up. But anyways, they were all blown away. So that was fun. So yeah, that's enough rocket talk. That's enough rocket talk. Now let's start some cocket talk. No. And yeah, one thing I did do this week was I watched the Peterson and I'm blanking on it. Richard Dawkins debate. Not even really a debate. It was actually more of a conversation. And I'm not sounding lame when I say that, but it was legit. Like they just kind of talked things out and got along more than I would have thought, and also didn't. Where I was like, there were so many times where it's like, I don't know. You see these great thinkers, and then you see other people say like, that guy's stupid. And you're like, no, surely that person can't be stupid. And then every once in a while you see them make a mistake, and you go, oh, maybe they are a little, not even stupid, but just like ignorant to something. And Richard Dawkins, man. I used to think Richard Dawkins was the greatest. That's Richard Dawkins right there. I like Richard Dawkins' books. I've read a few of them. He kind of, I don't know. And I've also made a transition kind of back the other way from him, but I still really, really respect his work. He's just a super literal guy. And but I also like Jordan Peterson. I've read Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules, and I haven't read the whole thing. I don't want to lie, but I started to read the second one, 12 More Rules or whatever, to avoid chaos or something like that. Obviously, I didn't read it really well, that I don't remember the title, but I do remember the first one pretty well. And I like his books. I like his talks. I haven't listened to any of his like school stuff that he has now. Apparently, he's got like a whole university, and he's already got a shit pot full of content on there. It's kind of insane, actually. Motherfucker has been at work grinding. But anyways, I like him. I like him, and I like Dawkins. And I always feel like you guys could agree, because like Peterson's not doubting or denying anything Dawkins is saying. And Peterson has always been like I read the Bible as metaphors and allegories, and I'm looking for the lessons more than ever reading it, literally. And the whole time during the debate, it just kept getting hung up on that fact that it would be Peterson trying to explain something from the Bible, and how he thought that was a profound truth of life that probably had only been distilled. I'll get to that in a second, where he thought this was another thing they kept getting hung up on. But the biggest thing that they kept getting hung up on was that Dawkins every time would be like, but do you believe in the virgin birth? And Peterson would be like, well, I don't. He was kind of obfuscating a little bit and being a little like beat around the bushy. But he did describe why later on, where he was like, I don't know, I'm actually scared to answer that question, because I don't know if I try to take that, I don't know what the consequences of taking that story too literally might be. While accepting that story has been in multiple cultures, he was kind of saying like, I don't know what culture or what a society would do if it doesn't sort of have that myth in its culture as a genesis of it, And then, but every time he would get into that, and Dawkins would just go right back to like, but do you believe in a virgin birth? And he was like, well, I don't know. Like, I just think that maybe that story of a virgin birth, maybe there are, and then but do you believe Cain and Abel were real people? And he was like, I'm sure there was somebody like a Cain and Abel, or maybe at one time there was a Cain and Abel that somebody knew about, and that's why the story was told over and over again. But there might have been, there was many Cains and Abels, and that story of Cain and Abel is more, it's a truth that Peterson was arguing had been distilled throughout time. And this is another part where they kept getting hung up. Peterson would say that he thought the Bible and the stories of Christianity, had been basically edited throughout time in their telling. And Dawkins kept saying, well, so there's manuscripts throughout time showing this editing process? And he was like, well, no. And he was like, well, then I don't believe that. And it was like, well, but obviously you know that the stories were told by mouth for 1,000 years before they were ever written down, and you know they've been translated and blah, 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 blah. So obviously the stories have shifted and changed a little bit, and what we have now is the what has lasted the longest till now, obviously, versions of those stories. And then Peterson tries to dig at what he finds to be the truth of those stories that could be useful to us all, and finds a lot of psychological things that maybe these were things people didn't know what the clinical term would be, or what the clinical, disorder would be, or not even disorder, but just like the psychological mechanism, or the process, or the thought process, or what those thoughts were. They didn't have they didn't have science. And so they would tell these stories, and humans framed their lives using these stories. And so Peterson, but every time it would just get back to Dawkins being like, but do you literally think that Cain and Abel was real? Do you literally think the virgin birth happened? Do you literally think Jesus was resurrected? And I know that is a debate for some people, because some people do think that happened. But Peterson has always said he's more interested in like the stories and the metaphors and what they mean and what they say about us. And then Peterson kept getting into, they were getting into this debate about whether or not the Bible showed signs of divinity. Because Peterson argued, or Dawkins argues, that there's nothing in the Bible that couldn't have been written by man. And so, there's no truth in the Bible that couldn't have been learned by experience or wisdom of a man, and then he wrote it down, is essentially what his argument was. There's nothing in there that you go like, oh my God, there's no possible way a human being could have known. Like he didn't, you don't look in the Bible and all of a sudden there's like the equation for E equals MC squared, or a drawing of the nucleus, or something that no human back then could have possibly known. That's what he was saying. There's nothing like that in the Bible. And whereas Peterson was arguing that the stories themselves have been edited over time so that there's only these remaining, he didn't say this, but like almost like divine, and he felt like the stories being edited through times by the experiences of humans, and so that the parts that were bad were left out because they were obviously uninteresting, and so humans didn't tell those parts anymore, and that only the good moral parts would come through, which I know, as people say, is arguable, but that only those good parts that are left is a sign that we all have this divine morality within us to create these stories. That I think I might be missing it and messing it up a little bit, but he felt that like the editing and shaping of the Bible throughout time to give us this document that we have now is a sign that we have God in us helping us shape it, I think. And Dawkins was saying that he didn't think that was accurate. But then they did find some common ground towards the end, where they get into how possibly religion has spread throughout time, and the effectiveness of Christianity versus other religions could be due to different various psychological factors within humans, and the spreadability of memes within, and that religion could be a meme type thing that spreads amongst humans because of a certain psychological thing within humans. Dawkins did admit there was something interesting there. Again, I might be screwing this up, but this is what I took from it. But it was a really good debate, and the guy that moderates it was great. I don't mean to be boring about debates and stuff, but the guy that moderated it was awesome. I can't remember his name now. I should have fucking had this shit written down. Sorry. But he kept holding it, each one of their kind of feet to the fire, and especially Jordan. And I like Jordan, but there was a couple times where like, okay, we get it, Jordan. You're talking about the metaphor. You're talking about cultures believing in these stories and what that can do. But Richard Dawkins is right now, in this moment, as we're sitting here, asking you specifically, do you believe in the literal virgin birth or the literal Cain and Abel? And he would refuse to answer it a lot of times, and the guy had to be like, Jordan, we all understand what you're saying, but you must understand the question that you're being asked, right? You must understand that you're not answering the question, right? And finally, he kind of does answer the question. That's where he finally says, like, I don't know. But then he also says, like, I also don't know what the harm is if I get too literal with these stories, possibly. Not to be, like, fearful, but, like, maybe a culture that looks into the virgin birth and eventually goes, nah, that's bullshit. That never fucking happened. Maybe that culture eventually dies because they don't have this hope of, like, this... I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe those stories provide humans with enough oomph to keep us going in a culture that doesn't have those fails. That's what he was asking. That's what Peterson is. And then he was like, so I'm almost sort of scared to answer the question, because you're sitting there and you're like, well, what the hell is that, And and so he's like, I don't know what the consequences are for asking these metaphysical or whatever questions that and blah 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 blah. And the moderator, there was a couple times where even I kind of got a little bit, Jordan can kind of talk about so many things and go on for so long that I'm kind of like, oh, what were we talking about originally? And the moderator was really good at kind of at keeping everything on point and summarizing what Jordan was saying. It was great. And I really enjoyed it. So if you're into things like that, go watch it. All right, fuckers? Thanks. Bye. I saw the Joe Rogan Experience. Train by day, Joe Rogan all day. I wonder if when he made that intro, he had to have thought like, this is temporary. Or did he think this is going to be iconic? I'm going to have this forever. I wonder. Anyways. Watch that. Donald Trump came on there, boy. Old big dog day, old Trump dog millionaire went on Joe Rogan. And it's kind of interesting. He didn't start at the biggest podcast and then do smaller ones progressively. He did a smaller one and then worked his way up to the biggest. It's like they made Trump work the road a little bit before they let him fucking feature or headline. Let him be a feature act on old Joe Rogan Experience. But I liked him on there. There's going to be people saying that, you think blah, 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 blah. There's going to be people freaking out. There's going to be a fuckload of people that never watched it, never saw it, but have a fuckload of negative opinions about it. I guarantee it. There's going to be people that hate it, that talk all kinds of shit based on what they heard other people say about it. And half the times what those people said about it, it's obvious that they didn't watch it either, but they just have the confidence of a journalist to write a whole article about it. So then someone reads it and they go, well, that must be what actually happened. And they believe it. And then they tell other people as if they watched it, oh, it's just fucking this. It's just this. And if the other person was at least inquisitive or skeptical, will go, oh, you saw it? And they go, well, no, but I read the paper and they said that this is what it is. It happens with my boss all the time. He'll have this opinion that he is, like, you'd swear he's thought about this for a long time. And I'll just ask the simple question of, oh, yeah, why do you think that? Because he'll be like, I think this is going to do this. And I'll go, oh, really? Why do you think that? And sometimes I'm not being a smart ass. I'm just legitimately curious as to why he thinks that. And he'll go, I don't know. That's what they were saying this morning on the news. I'm like, I know. I know, buddy. And then he's had the balls the other day to say, God, these fucking losers watching Fox News. It's like, it's okay to think for yourself, You don't just have to do what Fox News tells you. And I was like, yeah. Say the same thing for CNN, buddy. And that's where you get all your information. And it's so obvious. When he comes into work, he'll just repeat what he just heard on the news this morning. It's hilarious. But anyway, so Joe Rogan and Donald Trump were on there. And I thought it was decent. Trump's obviously running for president, so he's not going to go too crazy. But I thought he was good. I thought he could. It was the most presidential, I would say. Like back in 2016 when Trump was running, they were like, when's he going to be presidential? And I remember them making promises after promise after promise. Not Trump himself, but people around him or other Republicans or conservative media was like, well, no, reports are that he's good. This is now around the time, now that he's secured the nomination, we're going to begin to see a little bit more of a presidential nominee from, or a presentation from Donald Trump. And it just never fucking came. And here we are, 9 years later from when he was running. I mean, maybe 10 years, right? Because he starts running in... he would have started running in 15. Yeah, he's not going to run 2 years ahead. Although fucking I don't know. Anyways, so he started 10 years ago almost. Damn near 9 years. Fuck. And he still is not acting presidential. But I will say, him on the Joe Rogan Experience was probably the most presidential that he's acted this entire time. He doesn't get too into the weeds. He doesn't get too revealing. Like Joe Rogan said, he's trying to be as cool as he can. He's trying to not fuck up. He doesn't want to say something crazy. He did sit down for 3 fucking hours. 3 whole hours. He sat there and let Joe Rogan ask whatever he wanted, and they touched on subjects that are gonna fucking hit the news about, like the election denying and not the election denying, but the denying the results of the election or declaring election manipulation, all those things. Let me pause for one moment. So Like I said, yeah, he does sit down for 3 whole fucking hours. So no hour and a half bullshit. No not even 2, 3 hours. And I guess it made him 2 hours late to his rally. Which then, of course, that night, you see articles on Twitter where they're like, doesn't give a fuck about his supporters. Spends 2 hours, makes him 2 hours late, then flies an hour there. Makes his fans sit there for 3 hours, which is a long fucking time. But like, come on. He's on the Joe Rogan show. He's not going to get this chance again. It's perfect. It's for the campaign. He's got to do this. Every one of his supporters fucking knows. If it was Kamala Harris and she was getting a chance to go on the Joe Rogan Experience, I'm sure every Harris supporter would be like, you got to do what you got to do. So he still went. Still showed. He didn't cancel the fucking show and leave them all there. He still fucking flew straight there and showed up. I don't know. I just thought it was another fucking obvious example of them looking for every fucking thing they can to be like, oh, what an asshole. But you're going to get that no matter what, obviously. They talked about it as much on the show. So I thought it was decent, though. They covered a lot of subjects. He's still running for office. He's not going to get too crazy. He did float out some things, which every politician does every time they're running. He has been leaning a little bit more libertarian, it seems like, this go around. And he's been making more of an attempt to kind of get libertarian voters. A lot of libertarians like Vivek Ramaswamy. I love Vivek Ramaswamy. They like him. They got him on board. He's got RFK now, who's pretty not libertarian. He is on some things, but then on other things, he's kind of big government, which is unusual. But he's still pretty left on guns and kind of the climate. But that's why I keep him on health. There you go. And but anyways, so he's been leaning a little bit more libertarian as of lately. What am I talking about that for? Oh, yeah, so he's been trying to bring in more libertarian voters, it seems like. And so he's floating out ideas of, like, no income tax and just being on a 100% tariff-based system, which has worked before. I don't know enough about it to be able to really confidently comment on it, but I don't know. I'll have to look into it, see what that was like, what other smarter people than me think about it, because it's not like I'm a fucking economist and I can look it up and be like, yeah, math checks out. No. I'll look at people I trust and see what they say. So, who knows? That'll never fucking happen. Getting rid of income tax? I mean, goddamn, that would be awesome. And goddamn, when the economy boom, oh, you just have all of a sudden, hey, you know that all the people that make $60,000 a year but really only take home 40? Now you got 60. Everybody just got a fucking massive raise. You're like, woo! But that'll never happen. That's one of those things like when high school kids are running for school class president. I'm going to put McDonald's in the cafeteria. I'm going to have soda machines outside every classroom. I'm going to have school ends at noon. I'm going to have cheerleaders blow the football players morning, noon, and night. And then they win. And none of that can happen because none of that is possible. And anybody that thought it was going to be possible and voted for him because of that is retarded. But goddamn, wouldn't that be sweet if we had no income tax? I think he's got my vote. No, he already had it. He had it at Trump. No, you know what's funny is I'm not like a Trumper, but in 2016 when they nominated him, I was like, what the fuck? Fuck. I didn't really care too much, but my dad was a Republican, so I was like, yeah, I'm a Republican too. And that always made sense, I thought, what my dad would say. And he's definitely gone more libertarian as well since then, and I have as well too. And but when I was younger, I didn't know, and so when they nominated him, I was paying attention to politics, but in more of like a team-based, my side, your side. And so when they picked Trump, I was like, this is the dumbest fucking decision ever. There's no fucking way we're gonna beat Hillary, obviously. And then I remember that night, I was sitting at my computer and my wife was in bed. We were just together like 3-4 months. We had just met. And I was watching the election on the computer, and I was like, babe, he might win. And at that point, he was only the apprentice and, you know, the guy that showed up in Home Alone and just a bombastic guy on TV that I would see. I always knew about him as the rich billionaire that had Trump Towers and blah, 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 liked gold. But and so I was just like, Donald Trump might win. And then he won Pennsylvania and Ohio and Michigan, and I was like, holy shit, he's going to win. And then And then just fucking chaos for the next 4 years because of everybody else's reaction to him. And I thought at first there was fear in me because they were so, the response to him was so like, he's Hitler, that I remember telling my dad, I was like, I am a little worried that, like, I don't know, am I not paying attention, right? Like, is there something I'm missing where he is a crazy fascist and I'm missing it? I'm being tricked. And then the more I pay attention over the years now, I realize, like, oh no, that has just been 100% media manipulation to try and get you to hate the guy. And it's worked on a lot of people. You can dislike the guy for his policies, but think about everybody that hates him just because of how he looks and acts and talks. That's not what you should even be thinking about for your president. But anyways, I mean, maybe a little bit, but not. That shouldn't be your primary concern when you're voting for him. It should be like, what's he going to do when he gets in there? What's his foreign policy? What's his domestic policy? What's his tax policy? What's his blah, 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 blah. Does he have any ideas on the infrastructure? Does he have any ideas on oil, energy independence? Does he have any ideas on energy? So, anyways, point is, so the reaction to him has just been negative since fucking Jump City. And I was legit like, oh God, is this guy going to be a fucking crazy Hitler that we like turn? And then it just became so obvious that he wasn't. And it was like, wait, hold on. You guys are the ones that are acting kind of fascistic. And then the more even I looked into the history, it was like, oh wait, I don't know. Obama did a lot of things that you would call fascist. That if the media had been honest or had been playing him the same way they played Trump, they would have been like, fascist, fascist. I mean, all through COVID, they would have been screaming fascist to anybody that was trying to do lockdowns and lockdowns for 2 fucking years. Anyways, so yeah, I was concerned I wasn't gonna like him and that he was gonna fuck shit up. And then just over time, it was like, oh no, they're just insane in their TDS, which is a real thing. Sam Harris, who I used to love, clearly suffers from it. And I'm also, he's another one that I used to think was fucking infallible. And then as time's gone on, I'm like, nah, maybe not. Maybe you're kind of an idiot on a lot of things. And you were just smart about that whole religion thing, I thought, as a kid. And now as I get older, I'm like, maybe you're kind of simple-minded on that too. Maybe you got rich from your childlike belief, and so you never found a reason to shape your belief any way different. I don't know. He's just, I can understand being against organized religion, but just the concept of there being anything other than us and you saying like, nope, it's just like, it's been stated before, but so something just popped out of nothing is more believable to you than something made this. I don't know. It's just, or that this was always around. I don't know. Who knows? It's just interesting. But anyways, so a lot of people suffer from TDS. And, yeah. And now it's just, I'm completely the other way where I'm like, no, I fully support the guy. But I'm not one of these guys that thinks he's a fucking savior. I mean, he's got issues, he's got problems, and he's got problems even in his policy. He spends a little bit, way too much. But I like what he spends money on, but I still wish he would spend way less. I love the idea of Elon Musk being part of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. I don't know. Who knows if it's ever going to come to fruition, but that would be pretty cool. So it's kind of funny to see a lot of people have kind of a turnaround. I don't know, maybe not a turnaround, but Gaffigan, he's another one that the other day at the Trump speech, the Al Smith or whatever the hell dinner, that he was making fun of the Democrats for, rightly so, installing their candidate versus letting the people choose democratically, even though they've been screaming about him being a threat to democracy. And so he was making jokes about Trump and with Trump and laughing at Trump's jokes. That was the biggest thing that I saw. It's because you've heard him on shows being like, I just don't get how people can look at this dictatorial fucking monster. Even in the middle of his like being funny on interviews. And then, but then to see him sitting there laughing at Trump's jokes, I was like, huh. I think this guy is wearing down everybody to where now everybody is kind of taking off the he's Hitler gloves and being like, okay, maybe it's just, maybe he is bombastic. I heard this the other day. We don't take Trump serious. Or we take Trump serious. What is it? I don't know. I'm going to have to edit that out. Just that big gap. We don't take what? I can't remember it now. Fuck! It was a good quote for people that like Trump. And people that don't. People that don't like him take what he says seriously and ignores something and ignores what he does. And people like us, I can't remember. No, it wasn't that simple. I don't know. I'll edit this out. This is gay. Shouldn't have thought of that. Whoops-a-daisy. So, yeah, that was funny. That was interesting to see. What? Let's see what we got here. Well, since we're talking about the government, let me get into my government-hating section of the day. I learned about a fun fact the other day that the government spent $41 billion on a urban internet promotion thing that was supposed to provide internet all over the country, even in urban areas where nobody had it. And not fucking one of them, not a single thing has come to fruition from that. $41 billion. Remember last year, maybe 2 years ago, and they were screaming at Elon for buying Twitter for $44 billion, and they were like, you could solve world hunger with $40 billion. Nothing to say about the government urban internet development program that cost $41 billion. I mean, where the fuck did that money go? How is there not a paper trail that shows $41 billion? What could you do with that? The government just lost it. It just got ate up in bureaucracy and just handouts to people that eventually produced nothing. I mean, where the fuck? How is there not one record of where that money went? That just seems so absurd that $41 billion can just be like, poof. Yep, that was on the Department of Government Urban Internet Development. Oh, so everyone has internet in urban areas now? They've all got Starlink or something like that, right? Something similar? No. Oh, what, does everybody have dial-up? Did you get everybody dial-up at least? No. Nothing. Oh. I mean, for $1 billion, what could you do? Anybody listening? What could you do? How many people do you think you could provide with internet for $1 billion fucking dollars? And they couldn't do one for $41 billion. They couldn't give one person Starlink. Not one. I don't know. If that is not a perfect indicator of government inefficiency, speaking of Doge, if that's not a fucking indicator of government inefficiency and waste and doesn't make you go oh, what are we doing? Why are we not up the government's ass constantly like fucking auditors? Why are we not the IRS for the government? Because clearly they are just fucking hemorrhaging cash. But, I don't know. Nobody seems to care about it. $41 billion. Oh, I don't know. It just infuriates me. I just think of everything you can... I mean, what does internet cost? $100 a month? $120 a month? How many people could $41 billion provide internet for? What is Starlink? $300 a month? $400 a month? Maybe? Maybe less? I don't know. How many fucking people? It's a simple number. Say $400 a month and you have 40 billion. That's what? 4 million people? 40 million people you could provide internet to? Right? Something like that. I don't fucking know. Or maybe no, it's 1 million people you could provide internet to. 10 million people you could provide. I don't fucking know. Point is, it's math. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. And they didn't come up with one. Huh? I don't know. And then Trump goes on there and bitches about crime going up. And everybody says, no, it's not. Actually, Trump, crime statistics indicate from the Federal Bureau of Crime that crime is down 2%. Wait a week. Oh, shit. We forgot to include all these murders. Crime is actually up 4%. I wish they could somehow. They can't. You print the lie on page 1, you print the retraction on page 6. I know. But fuck. They make Trump look like a look at the fear mongering. Look at the fear mongering, and then it turns out, oh, he's right. Oh, fuck. Shit. All right. Just wait a week and then publish that. Just ignore that. Oh, gosh. So, anyways, I'll finish things up here with a little story I saw that I found interesting the other day. There was a guy that lived in the woods since 1986 on his own, just completely vanished. Wandered into the woods one day, and then that was all he heard of from 1986 until 2013. I don't know. That $41 billion and wasted fucking no internet. That makes me want to fucking walk off into the woods and just be like, fuck, what are we doing here? Jesus Christ, how much money is being wasted on nothing, on just lining people's pockets. Ugh. And so this dude just got up one day and said, fuck it. Wandered off into the woods. And then he kind of turned into a piece of shit. It wasn't like he went into the woods and he became Survivor Man and just became a camper and like a Unabomber type guy. You could even respect that a little bit. As long as he didn't blow people up, of course. Unless he did it, of course, with a wicked-ass methodology. You know? Anyways, point is, if he did that, then it'd be kind of cool. He went into the woods and became a fucking thief and would just steal from camps and steal from houses and went on a fucking 30-year burglarizing streak and was in the woods from 1986. He wandered into the woods, walked off into the woods and said, fuck it, I'm out. I'm taking no part in this. And then didn't come out until 2013, and I guess he's been out ever since. But what the fuck? How bad is life? I don't even have to ask how bad. You can kind of see how bad, right? I mean, it's pretty obvious to anybody that how bad life could be, that it just makes you want to... It's actually impressive that he had the gall to finally just be like, you know what? Fuck all of you. Fuck right off. Deuces. I'm out. See you later. And with that, I believe my family just showed up. God, I'd love to dive more in it. I'll tell you what makes me want to fucking walk off into the woods sometimes. These 3 goddamn kids and my wife. All right. That's it for episode 24. Hold on one second, baby. I love you. Have a good day. You guys have a good week. I'll see you next week. Love you guys. Bye.